Another challenge this week. Really good team coming into our house. Well-coached team. They've had success now. Going back to last year, the big playoff win they had on the road. They got some, great draft picks that have done a great job for them. You really see talented players all over their roster. I have a lot of respect for not only Kevin as their head coach, but really a lot of their staff as well. I know a few people on their staff and have great respect for them. So I know they'll be well coached and ready to go, and it'll be a grind. And that's the kind of mindset we have to have going into the game. Understand it's going to be a physical game and a battle all 4 quarters. Can take any questions you have.
Yeah, Kirk, what was your relationship? What was your relationship like with Kevin?
Really strong. I actually got to meet him at the Senior Bowl back in 2012. He was the assistant quarterback coach for the Vikings, who coached the North squad that I was on. Russell Wilson and Kellen Moore were the other quarterbacks on the North squad that week. And Kevin was younger at that time, but you could see, that he was going places. He knew football. He was a good communicator. And so I was actually really excited when I signed in for agency that he was going to be my quarterback coach. That was a huge plus to coming to Minnesota. And then it was just a natural fit to have him, as the OC and the play caller in 19. And then, he earned the right to become a head coach. And then he's proven that as well. So one of the many people I could point to in my football career that I've just been very fortunate to get to work alongside, and grateful that our paths crossed.
Kirk, Dalvin Cook just said you're the best in the game when you have a clean pocket, and he said you're playing better than any quarterback in the NFL right now. How do you feel?
He's being kind. He's being a good teammate. He told me as he left right now that he greased you guys up for me. So now I know what he meant. My job is to just stay consistent, keep working, and try to put good things on tape.
Zim said those weekly sessions you guys are doing, the film session, has really helped with the communication between quarterback and head coach. From your perspective, what does that look like?
I think it's helpful to have a structured time every week to meet with the head coach. As the quarterback with the role I have, I think it's great to just have a understood time every week to meet. I forget which week it was, but coming out of Monday or Tuesday, I had a thought for him, but I knew, hey, Thursday I've got my time for him. We'll go over it then. We'll talk about it then. And so I just think it helps to have that planned time every week to go over third downs, go over our offensive plan at a high level, go over our team dynamics, whatever it may be.
What led you to approach him with that idea?
We had done it in the past and just gotten away from it. And in the spring, we met and just felt like it was a no-brainer to just kind of spend more time moving forward, and that's what we've been doing.
Is it more than just X's and O's in there when you do that?
I think it's heavy X's and O's. I think it's more if it needs to be, but if it doesn't, then it's going to be X's and O's.
Do you think you're playing your best ball now since you got to the Vikings?
I'm not really in the business of talking about my play publicly or trying to evaluate it to everybody. I think it's about the next play. Where are you going from here? Not so much mid-season. I don't like, and I think I've said this before in previous years, I don't really like looking back at where we've been. I'm very focused on looking forward to where we're going. And so that's really where I want to spend my energy and time in the season, and then, when you get to retirement, maybe we can talk about looking back as to where you've been.
This isn't the first time you faced a former coordinator with McVay and Shanahan, but what is it like? I guess, is there any extra, is it weird to face one of them? Do they know everything about you? They know what you like, what you don't like? Is there any extra challenge in that?
I think there's probably some level of familiarity both ways that doesn't exist if you're playing a staff you've never been around. The nature of it is the longer you play in the league, the more paths are going to cross. You're going to meet people. Even the Seattle staff I had coached me at the Pro Bowl, so I got to know much of their staff during that week. So it's just going to happen over time, and that's a good thing. I think it's great to build these relationships with great people who have had a lot of success, and Kevin's certainly in that group.
You were talking after the game Sunday about how well the offensive staff has been kind of clicking and in sync with you, specifically to Clint and taking over that role. Like, what are some of the things he's done to kind of make that transition smooth as possible?
I think so much of what Clint did to create the foundation of our offense for 2021 was spent in January, February, March. When we show up in April, that plan is in place, and he's ready to teach it to us. It's already been laid out and analyzed and studied, and then it was presented to us in the spring. And so, this goes back quite a ways. And I just think, for me, from my perspective, just the amount of time we've had on task together in the quarterback room for 2 seasons, I think, it's really helped us be on the same page where he can know where I'm coming from really before he even, installs a play or creates a play. He knows where I've been, what I want, what I like, and I think that helps.
Talk about how analyzed and detailed it is. It sounds a little bit like Kevin. Do you see any similarities with those two guys?
In all the positives, absolutely. I just think that both of them are focused, attention to detail, and they're full of substance. This league is filled with a lot of flash, and you play in it long enough, and you see guys who have a lot of flash and not a lot of substance, and that wins the short game, but it doesn't win the long game. And Clint and Kevin are 2 guys with a lot of substance, and time, proves that. And substance always wins over flash, and those 2 guys have a lot of substance.
Delvin talked about how last year, watching from afar, were you kind of rooting a little bit for the Browns when you see Kevin's coach of the year, wins a playoff game, all that kind of stuff last year?
I was very happy for him, certainly. And I've had a similar feeling watching other people I've worked with. You want to see them have success, you pull for them, and Kevin's certainly in that group.
In your time working with Adam, what has led you guys to have the connection in the red zone that you've had at least the last year and a half or so?
I don't know. I keep chuckling at the touchdowns after the Cincinnati game. I said, you're starting to become like Chris Carter, just catching touchdowns over and over and over. I think it really has more to do with our coaches. The plans they put together has probably more to do with coverages, and he becomes the option. He becomes the person that I go to. I think it helps to have Justin Jefferson and Dalvin and just other threats that defenses have to honor and be aware of where they are. So I really just go to where my reads take me, whether it's Adam a bunch or Justin a bunch or neither of them. I kind of walk off the field and say, I was just going where my reads took me. And for whatever reason, it's been Adam, more often than not over the past year and a half.
When you have those receivers that win in the red zone as much as Adam and Justin do, what does that do for your ability to just kind of go through your reads knowing that these guys are going to get open and I'm going to have a place to go with the ball?
Yeah, it's just goes back to the whole old adage that, when you have great players around you, it gives you a great chance to be successful. And so, that's a great example of that.
You play an opponent that's coming off of a 9-sack game. How do you, as the leader of the team, approach, the guys around you, knowing what they're capable of?
You're just very aware of the pass rush and of, your emphasis on not letting that happen 2 weeks in a row. And I know they're going to come in here, planning to get after us. And so we've got to have a great plan to be able to resist it.
Kirk, with the lack of shot plays this year, is that something where they're not being called as much, or are they there and it's kind of what the defense is giving you?
Probably a little bit of both. Seattle did a good job of staying on top of routes, keeping things in front of them. We certainly have shots that we call, but as Kevin said when he was here, Clint says now, a shot called is not a shot taken. And so when a shot gets called, you still have to read it out and go where the coverage is telling you to go. But we'll certainly want to be an explosive offense and want to look for those opportunities. All righty. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.